Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about accountability. Now, in my mind, there's kind of two types of accountability. We can hold ourselves accountable for an action or for the consequences of that action, or we can hold other people accountable for an action or the consequences, right? And what we have to realize is that when we demand accountability from ourselves or from others, we are blaming ourselves or others, right? So again, if we demand accountability from ourselves for the consequences of some action, we are blaming ourselves for those consequences. And what we are trying to do is demand that we take an initiative to act differently so that those consequences don't reoccur, right? And the same goes when we try to hold others accountable. We are trying to demand that others take initiative to avoid the reoccurrence of those consequences. So oftentimes I think we focus too much on holding other people accountable rather than focusing on holding ourselves accountable. And what this might seem like I'm implying is that we are to blame for all of our problems and that no one else is to blame for any of our problems. But that's not really what I'm trying to do here. What I'm really trying to do is encourage you to control what you can control rather than trying to focus on blaming other people. And the reason I'm doing this is because ultimately what we have to realize is that when we demand accountability from ourselves or others, that demand is not based in objectivity. Okay, the evidence that we have is not objective. Okay, so when we try to blame somebody else or blame ourselves for a problem, we have to realize is that that problem did not occur as a result of me or you or somebody else. The problem occurred as a result of some deeper catalyst. And when we blame ourselves or somebody else entirely for that problem, we are treating a symptom. Okay, and when you treat symptoms, you don't fix the causes, you don't create cures, you only treat the most recent symptomatic individual, right? So this is dangerous, right? Because like I said, we're not treating the objective cause of the problem, we are treating a subjective cause, which in other words is a symptom. And this can become dangerous. So to provide an example here, let's say that let's say that there's a government and you are a citizen of this government of the nation, and this government collects taxes, right? And in theory, the government uses these tax dollars to the benefits of the masses. But let's say that maybe recently that government has not been using those tax dollars for the benefits of the masses. Let's say those tax dollars have recently been going to fund a military industrial complex that is becoming very imperialistic. That military industrial complex is building military bases around the world. Does this sound familiar? It's the US, right? And these tax dollars are essentially, again, not benefiting the nation or foreign nations, not benefiting anybody except perhaps a select few defense contractors. Now, it's not necessarily objective that we should be paying taxes to this corrupt government. But if we try to hold the tax evader accountable for tax evasion, we we're basically using a what I can say is kind of like a majority rule uh, demand to control somebody, to demand more evil out of that person, right? So if somebody is evading taxes in a nation that is becoming increasingly corrupt, is that person the problem or is that person the solution? Again, the point here is that we are trying to kind of demand that people be held accountable when the people aren't actually the problem. The people are just symptoms of underlying problems. And we can't treat symptoms. Treating symptoms does not solve problems. It only solves, again, the most recent symptomatic individual. So if you see a growing number of people who are evading taxes, perhaps there's a reason for that. Maybe you should look a little deeper into why that is happening. Maybe it's because those people are fed up with what the government is doing with those tax dollars. Maybe the people evading taxes are actually the solution. Maybe the defunding of the government can actually help solve the problem that of the military-industrial complex in this case. So there's another aspect I want to kind of address here too, and it's kind of based in this concept of blame. So when you blame somebody, what is that person going to do? Well, maybe they will think through their actions and take responsibility, take accountability, right? Take personal accountability. But maybe they won't, okay? And you have to really think about what drives them to take accountability or to avoid taking accountability. And ultimately, what it is fear, right? So if you point the finger at somebody, let's say I'm going to give you another example here. We're going to compare a drug dealer to a politician. If you point the finger at drug dealers for selling and killing people with fentanyl, and you want to hold these drug dealers accountable, how are you going to do it? Are you going to put ads in the paper and ask the drug dealers to turn themselves in, and then with the promise of jailing those drug dealers? Probably not, right? They're not going to turn themselves in if you promise to jail them afterwards. What you have to realize is that those drug dealers are trying to make money. They have to make a living after all, and that is the pathway they have found by which to make a living, by selling fentanyl in this case. So if you want to fix the fentanyl problem, you have to fix the financial problem. You have to be able to provide that drug dealer with an alternative income stream by which to make a living. So instead of threatening that drug dealer with jail time, you want to give him a job. You want to give him a different job so that he can make money in a safer way that doesn't kill people with fentanyl. And if you do threaten that drug dealer with jail time, he's not going to turn himself in, right? He's going to do anything he can to defend himself. So by trying to treat the drug dealer, you're treating a symptom, and there's just going to be another drug dealer that crops up. So instead, let's give the drug dealer another job, a better job that can serve humanity without killing them, right? Now, let's move on to the politician, okay? How is a politician different? Let's say the corrupt politician is, again, giving money to the military-industrial complex. How are you going to fix that? Are you going to try to hold them accountable and threaten them with jail time if they don't start using the tax dollars to your desired goal, towards your desired goal? No. What you want to do is you want to forgive them, just like you forgive the drug dealer. You want to offer them a different pathway that doesn't threaten putting them in jail, right? In other words, holding other people accountable, especially when those people have power, is not going to fix your problem. All that politician is going to do is defend themselves from the people who are trying to put them under the guillotine, right? Who are trying to put them in jail, because that politician has the power to do so. That's the difference between the drug dealer and the politician here. And the drug dealer doesn't have a bunch of money and connections to protect themselves. The politician can write policy that literally pardons them from crimes, right? The president, for example. You don't want to try to crucify the politician. You don't want to try to demand accountability from them, or else they're just going to use the power, the money that they have to protect themselves. You want to give them alternative options with the understanding of forgiveness. You want to make it clear that you forgive them for what they've done, for the mistakes they've made, and you're not going to come after them and try to put them in jail. You're going to give them alternate pathways by which to help the country, right? Or alternate jobs, other jobs to help themselves, right? In the case of the drug dealer. The bottom line here is that witch hunts only create more evil witches, right? If you go after the witch and you demand accountability, you demand jail time, you try to put them under the guillotine, right? You're only going to create more witches. Personal accountability is the only solution here. We have to focus on what we can do with what we have, not how we can crucify somebody else. I think we have more of a leadership problem than we do so much an accountability problem. We need better leaders, and that doesn't mean that we need to crucify the current leaders. That means we have to learn to lead by example ourselves. Personal accountability will always outcompete trying to hold other people accountable, because when you try to blame other people, they get defensive. And the reason people get defensive is because life's hard. Life's hard for everyone. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're President Trump. I don't care if you're me. I don't care if you are some guy living on the street. Life's hard no matter who you are. Everyone has their relative hardship. And when you try to equalize those hardships and put them on an objective scale, it just does not work. It never will work, because people have different, they have different upbringings, right? Somebody born into wealth who is fed with a silver spoon gets thrown into a 2-bedroom apartment, they're gonna be struggling. Likewise, somebody who is born on the street is gonna probably have an easier time living on the street than that poor man, or that the rich man had living in the 2-bedroom apartment. Hold yourself accountable. Lead by example. Become the change you want to see in the world. Okay? Again, witch hunts will only create more evil witches. Thanks for watching.